And for everybody who may have seen Evangelion, and Asuka makes the big entrance, you know, she's on the deck of the aircraft carrier. So
we can totally see you doing that on like the deck right now, just like
I'm
here.
I know, it's so appropriate.
Good news is we probably don't have to worry about this one getting broken in half by an angel attack.
Exactly.
Probably not. Well,
Or
let's
being
hope
used
we
as
don't.
a
Although it
weapon.
is 2015, so
Oh crap, we're doing.
fingers crossed.
Yes.
Awesome. So, what are we doing today? Wow, this is so steep in here. This is incredible.
Well, first you're going to brief us on our mission.
Oh, what are you, stupid?
We're your
yes,
pilots.
The mission today is to make this an awesome con.
Alright, well, let's kick things off with some questions then.
Sure, absolutely. Whatever you guys got.
Alright, so, it's been a while since Ava was last on the air, and we've still got the remake movies that people are greatly enjoying. I guess, what would you say is the great thing about Evangelion that keeps bringing people into it?
Well, I think, you know, with the TV series, this is a weird angle to be doing an interview, isn't it? The TV series offered the opportunity for people to ask a lot of questions. You know, it was very existentialist. It didn't really lay everything out for you. So it really lends itself to repeated viewings, and then you catch things, and after you've watched it a couple times, and you think, wow, Ritsuko was really a bitch. You know, that you don't necessarily pick that kind of thing up the first time, all of the subtext and the double meanings of everything. So I think, you know, with the TV series as a basis for drawing people in, and it led to all of these heated debates about every possible aspect of the show and what it means, and all of the religious symbolism that's in there, the Eastern religions and the Western symbolism, depending on where you live. Some things may be more obvious to certain people. And so I think all the questions that it brings up about our purpose in life and why are we here, and what should we do, and how do we deal with adversity, I think there's a lot of that to it. And it's harder for me to say with the movies because we don't really know where that arc is going. You know, we don't know. I mean, presumably the fourth movie is coming out in the not too distant future. Maybe there'll be another movie, maybe there'll be some other iteration. I mean, we don't really know, so. All right, it's difficult for me to comment really on what the, you know, situation is with the movies since they're not finished.
So, when you were first doing the voice for Asuka, what was going through your mind at the time when you watched the finished product? Like, if you had a chance to see what it was after the fact, when everything was all squared away?
Well, back when I was working on the TV series, I was actually watching the episodes as I was recording them. I was watching the original versions. I was watching them in Japanese. So I'd watch it like right before I was going to go in and record that episode. So I kind of knew how those episodes were going, but I didn't know where the show was going until we got to the end of it, which was really mind-blowing, because it doesn't wrap everything up in a neat little package and they all lived happily ever after. So that really blew my mind when I saw what the ending was, because it's so, I don't know, looking at, say, like, End of Evangelion, which was very fatalistic, and, you know, everyone dies, and it's got a very dark tone to it, made me appreciate the ending of the TV series more. I really prefer the TV series, the way that wrapped up, because I think it's a much more hopeful finish. But at the time, like when I was actually recording it, it was a lot of fun. You know, I was excited that I was playing a German character, and when I was in high school and college and studying German, and my mother thought that was really a waste of time. Turned out to be really great, though, in the end. We actually toyed with the idea that Asuka might have a German accent in the TV series, and then we ended up just scrapping that, because she is multilingual. She speaks English and Japanese and German, so I really enjoyed it. Of course, when we were doing it, we didn't know that Evangelion would go on to have this sort of life of its own, you know, and become some sort of global cult phenomenon, because you really don't know that when you're working on a show. You don't know that that's something that's going to happen. But it was a lot of fun. I enjoyed working on it very much.
What were some of the more challenging parts about voicing Asuka with the various things she's gone through?
Well, you know, there were some points, especially when we went back and did the director's cut footage for the TV series, that was shining a light on some of the more difficult times that Asuka had gone through, and that was personally, that was kind of painful for me to do that, you know, emotionally, and also like in the End of Evangelion film, because by that point I had really grown quite attached to Asuka. You know, like she was my little sister, and I felt very protective of her. So I felt bad for Asuka, you know, and then at the same time having to be Asuka, but that was emotionally it was kind of rough.
Aside from your role as Asuka, what other roles that you've taken do you feel best? Do you feel that you've enjoyed the most aside from Asuka?
Wow, I've gotten really so many opportunities working in anime. It's been almost 22 years now, which is really bizarre for me to think of that. I'm just so excited to keep working in anime, and it's really difficult for me to pick like a favorite role that I did. I just love it so much. I had a recording session just 2 days ago, so to me, just the fact that I get to keep doing it and creating a lot of different kind of characters is really fun. I'm kind of notorious for loving to voice any kind of critter, if it's like a dog or a cat or even like some alien or, you know, mythical creature or anything. I really super love doing that. I enjoy voicing roles of young boy characters is a lot of fun, but it's too difficult for me to just even pick out one or two, because I just like all of it so much. I really do. I love it in its entirety, and it's always really rewarding and fun to get to do a part that's different. You know, every time I get to go in and do a different thing, like, oh, I haven't done this character before. That's really fun.
And you've been a staple in the anime industry for a while now. How has the fandom and the convention life been treating you from your experiences?
I've been attending conventions for about 18 years now, which I just learned a short while ago is the same amount of time that Zach, Steven Universe, has been alive. So I've been doing conventions for his whole life, which is great. I love going to conventions, and for me, it's a wonderful way to meet people and interact with fans. Today I'm doing my very first convention on an aircraft carrier. That's pretty awesome. I've done cons in almost every state. I've done cons, you know, in other countries as well. And the thing I would say, I mean, the enthusiasm and the interest from fans about anime, that has been kind of a consistent thing over the years. But the face of fandom has changed in that, you know, it's a much broader demographic now. There's so much more females at conventions than there were when I first started attending. And there's, you know, the people who were attending cons 20 years ago, they're still going to cons. So you see a lot of people that are in their 40s and 50s at cons at the same time that you see teenagers. So the audience has broadened as fandom has grown, and now, you know, those people that were coming 20 years ago, their kids are there, and maybe their grandkids too. So I've just really enjoyed watching fandom grow, and the biggest thing that's really changed at conventions is cosplay. Because it used to be that cosplay was just like a fun thing that fans did to kind of celebrate who their favorite characters were, and it was just kind of a fun activity that they did in their spare time, where that has morphed into like a whole separate thing on its own, which I think is fascinating, to where a lot of people, that's like pretty much become their whole world is doing cosplay, and there are people who even are professional cosplayers. So that's, to me, I think that's probably the single biggest change in conventions that I've seen.
I've been cosplaying for 10 years, and that still confuses me how that happened.
Yeah, I don't, it's really difficult for me looking back to see like what the exact tipping point was. But see, when I started out doing conventions, probably about the first 8 or 10 years that I was doing cons, it was extremely common that they would expect the judges, me, to go and judge the cosplay. And I never really liked it that much because I thought, you know, I'm not qualified to judge the cosplay. And now I really haven't been asked to judge a cosplay in years and years and years because it has become its own thing. And they want people judging it who are in that realm, who know about the costumes and the all of the intricate detail and the craftsmanship that goes into it. So I think that's great.
So you mentioned that you travel to different countries for conventions.
Yeah.
What other countries have you been to, as far as other conventions that you've gone to?
Well, I see that you're wearing a shirt from Vancouver. My next convention that I'm doing will be in Vancouver, and I have done conventions in Vancouver before. So I've done conventions in 5 or 6 of the Canadian provinces, as well as in the UK. I've done conventions in England and Northern Ireland. I've done a couple of conventions in the Republic of Ireland, as well as several cities in Australia and also in New Zealand. So that's been pretty. And you know what? Fandom is really, it's the same. It's just with a different accent. Fans are, you know, they love cosplay. They get really enthusiastic about their shows. And so to me, it's like fans are pretty much the same all over the place.
And have you ever had a chance to go sightseeing while you're at these new areas at the same time?
Yeah, I've had the opportunity to do some sightseeing in some of the areas that I've gone. That's kind of a perk of going to conventions, is that I've gotten to see a lot of parts of the world that I would never have gotten to see, and it's really all because of Asuka.
This is pretty much saying, okay, this is the word you're going to say in about 5 years from now. It's like, oh my goodness,
Yeah.
It's that time again.
Yeah, well, I'll just put it out there right now. So I've done a convention in almost every U.S. state. I have also done a convention in the District of Columbia, but the 6 states, so the 6 states that I have not done a convention in, it's New Jersey, Rhode Island, Delaware, North Dakota, Wyoming, and Montana. So those are my 6 states. So anybody who's hearing this in one of those states, I would love to come to your state and do a convention. Those are my 6. I just have 6 states left. I'm so close.
It's like your 3DS tags. I got all these 6, but I'm missing these 6.
I know. I've got to collect them all. So.
You got another question, Robbie?
I'm good. You good?
Well, I guess the one last question
Yeah.
is: can you say the most famous 5 words in the Evangelion world, which is "get in the robot, Shinji"?
Oh.
As
Yes.
Asuka, of course.
Get in the robot, Shinji.
Thank you very much for being here
Oh,
and your
you're super
time.
welcome. And don't forget, Kame ga Kill, 12:30 p.m. Eastern and 11:30 Central. I'm gonna Kame ga Kill. Cool.
All right.
I didn't get to plug that.